Our guest of honor, Minister of Youth and ICT of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Philbert Nsengimana, Executive Director of Smart Africa, Dr. Hamadoun Toure, Director of Knowledge Societies Division of UNESCO, Mr. Indrajit Banerjee, my colleagues from the Internet Society, Senior Director of Global Engagement, Ms. Joyce Dogniez, Director of African Regional Bureau, Dr. Dawit Bekele, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. My name is Betel Hailu. I'm the Communications Coordinator for the Internet Society African Regional Bureau. It's my honor this morning to say to many of you, Mukaraza Neza, to this beautiful city of Kigali for the first ever African Regional Internet Development Dialogue, which has been organized in partnership by UNESCO and the Ministry of Youth and ICT of the Republic of Rwanda. The two-day meeting brings together experts, including government and intergovernmental organization officials, business and educational leaders from throughout the continent to discuss how Africa can use the internet to advance education, innovation, and job creation. This meeting follows two other regional internet development dialogues organized in Latin America, Asia Pacific regions last year. And this African Regional Development Dialogue will be followed by the European Regional Dialogue in November 2017 in Brussels. So before we start our meeting, I'd like to give you some logistical information. There is French, English-French interpretation. So whenever you speak and introduce yourself, please use your mic. One is for French and two is for English. The meeting is live streamed and will have at least one remote participation. In addition to providing remote participation, we'd like to encourage you to share some of the impactful or key messaging from the discussions on social media using hashtag RIDD. And tonight, we'll be having a cocktail starting 6:30 p.m. It will take place at the terrace outside. So hoping it doesn't rain. If it rains, we'll bring it inside. So you're all invited to join us. Having said this, I'd like to invite the Senior Director of Global Engagement of Internet Society, Ms. Joyce Dogniez, to give us her opening remarks. Thank you.
Very much, Betel. Kubahaye ikaze bashitsi bahire. Ndazerewe kuba turi kumwe uyu munsi.
Somebody should translate.
So, because there is no translation from Kenya, Rwanda to English or French, but I trust my colleagues in the back will translate it anyways. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, other honored guests. It's really a pleasure for us to be here in Rwanda for this first RIDD in Africa, Regional Internet and Development Dialogue. We already had the pleasure yesterday to experience some of the warm welcome of the Rwandese and Kigali going around a little bit on the city yesterday, and some of the sharing of the history and the culture. So we're looking forward to more of that, obviously, in the next days. But we're here today because a lot is happening. The internet has changed a lot, and the internet is changing a lot. And we're here because we need to make a decision. We need to choose which kind of internet we want. We need to choose whether we want an internet for everybody or whether we want an internet for some. The speed at which things have been changing has really picked up. And since the inception of the internet, things have moved fast. Some of the founders and the early users of the internet will say that things have always moved fast in the light of the internet, but it's now picking up, that pace is picking up, and it's time for action. So today I really feel that there's a sense of urgency for that action. If we don't act now, the difference between the ones who are connected and between the ones who are not connected will become increasingly big. So we see that 50% of the global population, and that goes up to 70% in Africa, is not yet connected. And we need to decide now who will benefit from the revolution that was created thanks to the global deployment of the internet. We see that the SDGs, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, really offer us an opportunity. And I see that this is an opportunity because it's now more clear than ever that we are not only talking about connectivity for the sake of connectivity. We're talking about connectivity for something, for the benefit of the people. We see this as an opportunity to underline, to highlight how the internet positively impacts the lives of people, and how it also affects all of our work around development. The internet also plays a critical role in the achievement of the SDGs. Now, it's also an opportunity to create a common understanding, a common language, if you will, that's on those goals, on the goals that we set ourselves for 2030. And it's really a matter of looking at access of the internet for the benefit of education, health, economic development, topics we will discuss in the next coming 2 days. And all of this is not new to the Internet Society. We've been, it's been very clear, and it's been part of what the Internet Society has been doing, is looking at not only the connectivity, but connectivity for what? Connectivity for the benefit of people. So the countries who have a low Internet penetration and that don't consider the Internet as a key instrument for the development of their country, they are compromising their future. So yes, we need to continue to develop infrastructure. We need to continue to invest in that. We need to continue to develop our communities that are using the internet. We need to develop, continue to develop local capacity. We need to continue to create local content in languages that are understood by the people who are using the internet. But how can we do this? There are two approaches that will be crucial. One is to look at the concept of collaborative governance. And the other one is something that we could call collaborative governments. And so if you look at collaborative governance, it's really looking at what we call in the internet world a multi-stakeholder model. So it's the fact that organizations need to together collaborate, work on things that are important, that we all together need to come together from the various stakeholders to make that difference. If we look at the concept of collaborative governments, it's really looking at the fact that if in one area of a government you make a decision around the internet, it will impact another area. So if you decide something on, I'm going to pick on spectrum allocation or development of infrastructure, it will have an impact on education. It will have an impact on what you can do with health. So it's important that also it's also important that governments within governments collaborate with each other and then collaborate with other stakeholders to make all of these things happen. We live in challenging times. A lot of things are changing. There's a lot of disruptions happening all over. And we need to deal with those changes in a positive manner. We need to address the issues of today, but we also need to look at the future. And creating and consolidating innovative solutions that address the issues using this new ecosystem that we know. Internet Society took the initiative of creating a platform for these kind of dialogues that I just mentioned. We already organized, as Betel mentioned, a regional internet and development dialogue in Asia Pacific last year in October in partnership with UNESCO. In Latin America, in Argentina, with the support of the government of Argentina and IDB. And we're very pleased to be able to bring together relevant stakeholders at those dialogues for those discussions. And obviously here in Rwanda, we are honored to be able to partner with the Ministry of Youth and ICT and with UNESCO. We are here for 2 days to have a dialogue and really to have a conversation. So this is not meant to be another platform where everybody talks about the great things they do. We all do great things. We all do amazing things. This is not another platform to say how great we are. The intention here is really to talk about how together we can find solutions and how we can collaborate, how we can partner with each other, and how we can avoid walking on duplicating things, because we do a lot of that. So this is an opportunity to have those kind of discussions. So many are talking about connecting the next billion. And we are here because we care about the internet. If not, I don't think you would have made the effort to come to this room today. We all care about the internet. But I think mostly we are here because we care about the people. We care about not only the number of people that are connected to the internet. We care about how people use this amazing tool called the internet. This is the thing that brings us here together. I believe this dialogue will be a great step forward in achieving the goals of development of access and internet that reduces inequality, that promotes health, that supports education, that develops the economies, and in short, it's really about the internet of opportunity for all people. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. I'd like to invite the African Regional Bureau Director, Dr. Dawit Bekele, to kindly give us his opening remarks. Thanks.
Thank you, Betel. Good morning. Excellency Jean Philbert Nsengimana, Minister of Youth and ICT of Rwanda, Dr. Hamadoun Toure, Executive Director, Smart Africa, Ms. Joyce Dogniez, Senior Director, Global Engagement Internet Society, Mr. Indrajit Banerjee, Director, Knowledge Society Division, UNESCO. Distinguished participants of the Africa Regional Internet Dialogue. 54 years after the liberation of most African countries from the yoke of colonialism and the establishment of the Organization of African Unity, most African countries are still underdeveloped. The turn of the new century brought some hopes. For instance, from 2005 to 2015, the GDP of the 11 largest sub-Saharan countries increased by 51%, which is more than twice the world's average of 23% and almost 4 times the US's 13%. The growth has many reasons, including increasing peace and stability, the rise of good governance and democracy in some countries, the low wages in the continent that attracts international manufacturing companies that are leaving Asia, where the wages are increasing, investment on infrastructure such as roads and electricity that are bearing fruits, etc. But many economists agree that the extraordinary improvement of communications thanks to mobile and the internet is probably the main reason behind the growth. At the very least, the rise of communication has forced more transparency in governance and the decrease of the looting of the continent and by tyrants and their Western backers, which has resulted in considerable savings for some economies. This is all good news, but it is not a guarantee of sustainable development. In fact, recently we are seeing a slowdown of Africa's growth. Even some well-governed and peaceful countries are facing some of their greatest economic challenges. This has many reasons. Africa's population is growing very fast, and its population is young and increasingly demanding. Some countries are over-dependent on oil and mineral resources or lack competitiveness to attract multinationals due to their not so low overall manufacturing costs. The African economy is fragmented into very small economies, etc. Some of these challenges are not Africa alone. Many developed economies are also suffering since the world is changing. Those countries or regions that have relied too much on industries that require low skills are experiencing major economic downturns that are endangering their stability. Very often, the countries and regions that are flourishing in spite of all the changes in this world are those who relied on innovative industries such as ICTs, pharmaceuticals, etc. I believe that the current economic environment clearly indicates that innovation is not only a major driver of economic development, but also a major force to sustain the development. I therefore would like to propose that for Africa to have sustainable development, it needs to be innovative. But I agree innovation is hard. It's not just having nice ideas as it is often depicted. It is the whole process that comprises of idea generation, technology development, manufacturing and marketing of new or improved products. Unless all of these elements of innovation exist, the innovation is often fruitless, which makes innovation an expensive and high-risk endeavor that many prefer to avoid. In addition, Africa has major handicaps to innovate in most industries. Innovating in most industries requires infrastructure, capital, highly skilled human resources, and established industry with years of experience that Africa will have difficulty to acquire in a short time. The internet industry might be the industry where these barriers are less unsurmountable. First, Africa is bridging its infrastructure gap very quickly thanks to the deployment of submarine cables, national fiber backbones, mobile broadbands, etc. Second, the access gap with the rest of the world is shrinking. More than 30% of Africans have access to the internet, creating a massive market for internet entrepreneurs and innovators. Third, Africa is producing an increasing number of IT graduates. And fourth, there are real successful innovative startups from Africa that show that all the ingredients for innovation can be found in the continent. I therefore believe that Africa should have a vision to become a major innovative player in the internet industry. But I don't think that success will happen by itself. All countries that have succeeded by transforming their economy into an economy relying on innovation have been able to achieve that with clear vision and well-implemented strategies. African countries should have a vision, a strategy, and implement the strategy full-heartedly if they want to become the leaders of tomorrow's internet industry. In particular, governments should create an enabling environment for the internet economy to grow and solve many of their current challenges, such as jobs for their youth. The Internet Society study on innovation indicated that there are 3 important ingredients for innovation, and all 3 should be present for innovation to be successful. The first is knowledge. The Silicon Valley would not be possible without universities such as Bekele. Africans should aspire to have such great universities that have quality research and education. 2, access to inputs such as capital, skilled human resources, and equipment. These are generally not easily available in Africa. Assistance, a major barrier for African innovators has been lack of local mentors and collaborators. The good news is that, as I hope we will explore in length in these 2 days, the internet might be changing the landscape. For example, thanks to the internet, our universities are no more isolated and can aspire to excel in research and education. New ways of raising capital, such as crowdfunding, remote working, and cloud computing, are making the input problem less unsurmountable. Assistance should also be done remotely. Some of the highly skilled African diaspora can now support their brothers and sisters in Africa without making the difficult decision to move back home. The Internet Society imagined this African Internet Regional Development Dialogue as a forum where all the organizations who are needed to create an innovative internet economy in Africa can share ideas and hopefully decide to work together for a collective vision. I'm happy that so many of you from diverse organizations and sectors have heard our calls and made long trips to attend this meeting. This is by itself a major success for us. In the coming 2 days, I hope that we will be able to address all the ingredients that will help us create a vibrant internet economy for Africa for its sustainable development. I also hope that at the end of this meeting, we will be all energized and willing to work in collaboration for that vision. I can already commit that the Internet Society will be carrying forward the recommendations of this meeting so that all your efforts will not be in vain. Before concluding my speech, I would like to thank His Excellency Jean Philbert Nsengimana, Minister of Youth and ICT of the Republic of Rwanda, not only for his patronage of this meeting, but also for his personal and his ministry support at every step of the organization of this meeting. As I told him when I asked him his patronage of this meeting, there is no better place to organize this meeting than Rwanda. country that showed us that there is no limit of what can be achieved if there is good leadership, vision, committed implementation of the vision. I encourage all of you coming here for the first time in Rwanda to use your free time to visit Kigali and get the inspiration that I get every time I come to this city. Thank you also to UNESCO, represented here by Mr. Indrajit Banerjee, Director, Knowledge Society Division, for accepting to support this meeting. My thanks also goes to our partners, Wakran, Asran, and Ubuntu.net, represented by their CEOs, who have been instrumental in bringing the education community to this meeting. And of course, thank you to all of you present in this room for coming to this meeting in spite of your busy schedules. I would like to acknowledge some of the dignitaries who have honored our invitation and are here. I apologize since I might not see everybody. So I see Mr. Alan Barrett, CEO of Afrinic, over there. Reverend Sunday Fulayan, Chair of Afrinic. Yeah, if you can raise. Okay. Ms. Alice Munuya, member of ISOC Board of Trustees. Professor Hamidou Boli, Commissioner Education of ECOWAS. Yes. Ms. Claudette Herrere, Director General MY ICT Rwanda. She was in the registration list. She might not be here. Mr. Andrew Rugege, Regional Director for Africa ITU. Ms. Aida Okupumensa, Special Advisor to the Executive Secretary of UNECA. Representatives of MIT, Wikipedia, RICTA, many African universities, African Internet Society chapters. I don't know if, please mention yourself. Yeah. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you, Dawit. Following, I would like to kindly invite the Director of Knowledge Societies Division of UNESCO, Mr. Indrajit Banerjee, to give us his opening speech. Thank you.
No, you can call maybe Dr. Hamadoun Toure first. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Then Executive Director of Smart Africa, Dr. Hamadoun Toure, please take the floor. Thank you.
Since I'm the bigger brother, so I can take advantage of that. I apologize, I have to take the floor earlier because I will have to leave soon, and my apologies to you because, as you know, the Transfer of Africa Summit is preparation is underway. I need to go and make sure that everything is all right before the summit. Let me, first of all, thank you all for coming here to Kigali. I think Minister will be in a better position to tell you that there is no better place to do this, especially when talking about internet. Most of you, I'm sure, have come here and you have had a free access to internet in your hotel room, at the airport, you know, everywhere you go in Kigali. So we're really proud that this is indeed a connected city. And many things are going on, and that's no surprise why the Smart Africa Secretariat is based here in Kigali. I'm representing this office. Smart Africa was created by our heads of states, African heads of states, in affirming their belief in the importance of ICT and its development in the continent. The Smart Africa Manifesto that was approved here back in 2013 is a testimony of their commitment to that. And I've been here only a year, and a lot is happening in terms of making sure that we're putting the necessary legal and regulatory framework in place. The vision and mission are very clear in ensuring that the 1 billion citizens that Africa has today are connected, and they take part of the knowledge economy, and they take part of this fourth industrial revolution, making sure that Africans are contributing on equal footing, making sure that ICT is a way will be an opportunity to give our youth the ability to exercise their innovative skills. And I trust in this youth that will be here present all this week during the Transform Africa Summit. Through Smart Africa, we want to make sure that African youth are indeed creating the opportunities for themselves. They are able to create new services, new applications. We want to go just beyond access to internet. We want to make use of it, make sure that our youth are part and parcel of the development, the conception of new services, new applications. We know that there are hundreds of thousands of new applications that have not been invented yet, that will never be invented if they are not invented by our youth, because an app is a solution to a local problem, and some of the local problems don't exist elsewhere. And therefore, we trust they will be getting that opportunity to do so. So new services and new applications, and we will create wealth. We want to go beyond just poverty alleviation in Africa. We want to create wealth. And this is opportunity that we have here, having the leadership of the continent believing in it. And you organizing this event together with UNESCO is another very important step, because education and capacity building is key in everything you do. We want to make sure through Smart Africa, we want to make sure that in every school, from kindergarten to universities in Africa, they will put coding in their curriculum so that our young people start thinking that way from the beginning, so that they will be competitive in the global market. And I know very well the work that the Internet Society has been doing. I have interfaced with you for over 16 years during my time at ITU, as Director of BDT and then Secretary General of ITU. We've had numerous interactions together, and I trust this group, and I'm very much impressed by the level of the people that you brought here together. This to me is a testimony of your commitment, all of you. And let's find together ways to working to avoid unnecessary duplications, to be sure that we are putting our youth, our customers first, and giving them the trust they deserve in order to really exercise their right to be part of this knowledge society. I believe that Africa is on the rise today. Africa is on the rise because there is a good leadership that believes in the future of the youth, and there is a youth, as my friend Dawit said, we have some youth that are well educated. In the process, we need to make sure that we do access to everyone together. So welcome here again. I hope that the work that you will be doing this week, over these 2 days, will fit into the overall summit of Transform Africa, where we have all the stakeholders together here, from governments, private sector, civil society, because of the theme this year being Smart Cities Way Forward. We have about 300 mayors of different cities of Africa here, and lawmakers from parliaments, members of parliament, and ministers here together. And of course, most importantly, the youth of Africa here competing, girls and boys competing and sharing knowledge and experience. So that gives me really hope that indeed we are moving together. So thank you very much, and I very much appreciate all the work you do, and especially your willingness to share your knowledge, your common experience together here. So I wish you a very productive meeting here in Kigali. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hamadoun Toure.
I had to ask permission from Minister to leave, so he has given me permission. Thank you.
I said I will cover him as he go out. Protect you.
Now I'd like to call upon the Director of Knowledge Societies Division of UNESCO, Mr. Indrajit Banerjee. Please take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Nsengimana, Ms. Joyce, Dogniez, Dr. Bekele, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here today to share UNESCO's perspectives on the Internet, and especially with a focus on the critical issue of education. The great Secretary General of the United Nations, Dag Hammarskjöld, had once famously said that the United Nations was not created to take you to heaven, but to prevent you from going to hell. And I think the same applies to the Internet. It is supposed to be an instrument of knowledge sharing, of access to information, of communication. Unfortunately, lately we have been witnessing a lot of abuses of the Internet, whether it be the creation of violent extremism, cyberbullying, hate speech, breach of privacy, and so on. So these are times for introspection, and from all the members of the Internet community and from all stakeholders. I think it's very timely that we speak today on innovation and education in Africa through the Internet, as it is only recently that the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed the Sustainable Development Goals and adopted a new global agenda entitled Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Of this agenda, Sustainable Development Goal 4, referred to as SDG 4, focuses on education and particularly calls for ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, with its key pillars of access, equity, and inclusion. Three absolutely critical words: access, equity, and inclusion. The Education 2030 Agenda reaffirms a political commitment to establish legal and policy frameworks that promote inter alia coordinated partnerships at all levels to uphold the right to participation of all stakeholders. It also entrusts UNESCO to lead and coordinate the 2030 education agenda by undertaking advocacy to sustain political commitment, facilitating policy dialogue, knowledge sharing, and standard setting. As stated in the recently launched 2016 Global Monitoring Report by UNESCO, the goals of SDG 4 are formidable and require us to rethink the parameters of education worldwide. However, according to Commission research for the 2016 UNESCO report, for 90% of industrialized countries and for every single country in Southern Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, even expanding their education systems at the fastest rates ever observed in the regions will be too slow to meet the first target in the global goal on education. It will be almost the 22nd century before we truly achieve SDG 4 worldwide. According to current trends, universal primary completion will be achieved in 2042, universal lower secondary completion in 2059, and universal upper secondary completion in 2084. Rich countries are not on course either. Even at the fastest rate of progress ever seen in the region, 1 in 10 countries in Europe and North America would still not achieve universal primary upper secondary completion by 2030. This report, however, points out that if the world community found solutions to overcome the current challenges to education, and SDG 4 goals, the returns would improve the quality of life on this planet for the world's citizens, and in particular, those that are the most vulnerable and disadvantaged today. The benefits of this would be good for the entire planet. Universalizing upper secondary completion for women in sub-Saharan Africa by 2030 would result in 300,000 to 350,000 fewer child deaths per year in 2050. In low-income countries, universalizing upper secondary completion by 2030 would increase per capita income by 75% in 2050 and bring poverty elimination forward by 10 years. Universal upper secondary completion by 2030 would prevent up to 50,000 disaster-related deaths per decade by 2040 to 2050. A key message coming from these findings is clear. For education to be transformative in support of new sustainable development agenda, education as usual will not suffice. From a systems perspective, actions need to meet SDG 4 targets include collaboration across sectors. This means collaboration between ministries, civil society, private sector at the local and national levels. Using education as a capacity building tool in all sectors. This means investing in integrated interventions that will have multiplier effects for several development outcomes. Recognizing that education cannot fight inequality on its own, labor markets and governments must not excessively penalize lower income individuals. Cross-sectoral cooperation can reduce barriers for vulnerable and marginalized groups. Education funding needs to be both adequate and predictable to ensure the provision of good quality education, especially to vulnerable and marginalized groups. Now, of course, one of the reasons for which we are here is to also examine the role of information communication technologies and the role they can play in accelerating, leveraging, and providing greater access to quality education. ICTs have indeed the potential to transform education and support knowledge creation in an unprecedented manner. The digitalization of education process and delivery has the potential, if effectively undertaken, to play a key role in achieving SDG 4. It has the potential to shake up business as usual educational practices. The successful integration of ICTs in teaching and learning requires the rethinking of the roles and functions of education, teachers, learners, institutions, and learning materials. Rwanda, our host country for this important event, is a leader in this area. Rwanda's Vision 2020 aims to move Rwanda from an agriculture-based economy to a knowledge-based society and a middle-income country. And this is very much in line with UNESCO's goals of building knowledge societies. The Vision 2020 places ICTs at the heart of the transformation, and the use of ICT in education is seen as a strategic lever for achieving this vision. The overall goal of Rwanda's ICT in education policy is to further access, equity, quality, and relevance as the key principles underpinning Rwanda's ICT and education policies. And promoting ICT to provide access to education for all and quality education that is relevant to the labor market is the foundation of this policy. In other words, Rwanda stands as an example of the use of ICTs for development generally and specifically in the area of education. UNESCO itself has been leading the world in education policies and practices, and especially in the area of information communication technologies. We have several major initiatives, one of which is called the Open Education Resources Program, or OER. And I'm pleased to inform you that this year, from the 18th to 20th September, we will have the second World OER Congress in Ljubljana, in Slovenia, where we will try and see how the first World Congress was held in 2012 in Paris, how we can move now from commitment to action. In other words, there has been a lot of interest in open education resources because it can fundamentally alter the quality of education. However, we've noticed also that uptake is slow for a variety of reasons. Business models are not in place. Publishers are not part of the game yet in a big way. Policy frameworks are lacking. So we want to now move forward from commitment, from policy to action. So I would like to invite all of you to follow the Second World OER Congress, 18 to 20 September in Slovenia. And UNESCO aims through this to create greater awareness of the importance of ICTs in education generally, and to see how we can help our member states to move forward on the path to successfully harnessing ICTs in education. With those words, I thank again the organizers. I would like to thank Constance Banerjee also, who's here. She's been a very close partner of UNESCO's, Ms. Dogniez, and we look forward to an engaging one day of discussion, and I hope we keep in touch and continue this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Indrajit. I will now take the honor of inviting Honorable Minister of Youth and ICT of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Philbert Nsengimana, to give us his welcoming speech. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's a bit difficult to speak after all these very eloquent orators, but I want to take this moment to just do three things. One is to welcome you. Secondly is to share a few thoughts I have on my heart this morning. And third is to give you a bit of a challenge. All the four speakers before me have tried to convince you that you are in the right place. I want to reaffirm that for two reasons. One is we want to be a place in Rwanda that expresses our love for our visitors. We love you so much. We want to extend a very warm welcome, and we want to share what we have. We want to share our peace, our security, our environment. We also want to share the best coffee in the world and the best tea in the world that is grown on this land. And we want to share a bit of our broadband also. One of the best broadband in this region. For those who are coming in Rwanda for the first time, we want you to come back, like many of you have done. Dawit told you. If it is your first time, please always feel welcome to come back on business and leisure alike. This is a country of a thousand hills, but also a million smiles. So don't live without sharing some of those smiles. But it is also the right place because it is a country that believes the most and probably works the hardest to realize the power of internet. Consistently, the World Economic Forum report on the Global Information Technology report has been ranking Rwanda as #1 in the world when it comes to the government's success in promotion of technology. So you can check those reports. And this is something that we cannot do alone as government. It's something that is owned and promoted by all the players in the ecosystem. And I wanted to thank everyone who's responded to our invitation. I can see leaders of the academia, research, telecom industry, ISPs. I can see leaders in this room of the innovation hubs and labs. So I really want to thank you for contributing to the effort that makes Rwanda the country that works the hardest to realize the power of internet. I will not dwell on that power because many speakers before me have expressed so beautifully the power of technology, the power of internet to empower communities and improve access and quality to education, giving all the kids a fair chance to dream big and realize their dreams. the power to create prosperity, helping farmers to increase their productivity and get the best value out of their efforts. The power to deliver a better government, a government that is transparent, that is responsive, that is responsible, a government that is available on 24-hour basis, and a government that is delivered in real time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to forge partnerships because we cannot realize that power by working in silos and working alone. So I hope that over the next 2 days we are going to forge those networks, establish those links, and connect those dots that we collectively need to all tackle the challenge. And that's my last point. The challenge I want to give you is not only to think about what needs to be done to connect the next billion, but the last billion. Because we know that if we just connect the next billion, very few millions of that billion will be in Africa. Very few. We know that the next billion is already covered with 3G or sometimes 4G networks. They are in urban areas. They are mostly concentrated in China and India, probably Mexico and some other place in South America. Very few of those people in the next billion are in our rural areas in Africa. So think harder. Let's do more. Let's be more. Let's dream more. Let's work harder and together. That is my challenge, and since I have to say this, let me say it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to declare that the Regional Internet Development Dialogue is officially open. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for this very inspiring speech. We have now come to the end of the opening session. And before we go for coffee, I would like to invite everyone for a group photo with Honorable Minister that we will take outside on the terrace, just across the foyer. After we take this group photo, I'd like to kindly invite you to join us at the coffee area, where we are going to launch 2 key papers that are relevant to the discussions we're going to have over the next 2 days. So please do join us to hear a brief overview of the papers after the group photo while having coffee at the same time. Thank you very much.